Let me ask you something that no one ever asked you before. Do you think men only have one kind of orgasm? Do you think it's just the quick release, the moment he finishes, the sigh, the collapse, the rollover? If you think that's all it is, you've been sold the biggest lie about male pleasure. Because here's the truth. Men don't just have one orgasm, they have different types of orgasms. And if you don't know the difference, you're missing the opportunity to give him an experience that feels rare, profound, and unforgettable. Most women think is easy. Men are simple. Get him aroused, touch him, and that's it. But that's not true. Men crave depth too. Men crave variety. Men crave being surprised, overwhelmed, undone in ways they can't explain. And the reason he doesn't tell you is because most men don't even have the language for it. They don't know how to articulate the difference between a shallow release and a soul-shaking climax. But if you, as a woman, can learn the difference, if you can understand the 5 types of male orgasms I'm about to reveal, you'll unlock a power that very few people on this planet ever discover. So let's get into it. There are 5 types of orgasms that men secretly wish women knew about. 5 different experiences that range from physical release to emotional transcendence. And when you understand these, you don't just give him pleasure, you give him meaning. You turn sex into connection, you turn intimacy into obsession, you become unforgettable. The first type is what I call the basic release orgasm. This is the one everyone knows. It's the orgasm that comes from physical stimulation, whether it's with your hands, your mouth, or through penetration. It's straightforward, it's biological, and it's what most men experience most of the time. But here's the catch. While this orgasm feels good, it's also forgettable. It's like fast food. It satisfies the hunger, but it doesn't leave him thinking about it afterwards. He gets release, but he doesn't get depth. And most men live their lives thinking this is all there is, because no one has ever shown them what else exists. So what do you do with this? You don't ignore it. You master it, because the basic release orgasm is the foundation. It's the one that every man knows. And if you can make this better than he's ever experienced before, you already stand out. How? By slowing down, by not rushing to the finish line, by learning his rhythms, his sensitivity, his patterns, by teasing him, stopping and starting, playing with the edge. A basic release can be transformed into something unforgettable simply by controlling the build up. Instead of a 3-minute sprint, you make it a 20-minute journey. Instead of predictable strokes, you surprise him. Instead of focusing only on speed or pressure, you focus on the dance. And when you do this, even the so-called basic orgasm becomes extraordinary. But let's move to the second type, the full body orgasm. Most people think orgasms are localized. They think it's all about what's happening below the waist. But a full body orgasm is when you turn his whole system into a live wire. It's when the energy doesn't just stay in one place, it spreads, his chest tightens, his arms shake, his back arches, his toes curl. It's not just release, it's overflow. And men secretly crave this even if they've never put it into words. Now, how do you give a man a full body orgasm? You engage his whole body in the experience. That means you don't just focus on his most obvious pleasure spot. You use your hands, your mouth, your breath, your body to create layers of sensation. You kiss his neck while your hands explore his chest. You bite his ear while your body grinds against his. You use temperature play, pressure changes, unexpected touches. You create waves of sensation that move through him like electricity. And when he finally releases, it's not contained, it's explosive. He feels it everywhere. His muscles contract, his breathing changes. He doesn't even know where the pleasure is coming from anymore because it's in every part of him. That's what makes him lose control. That's what makes him look at you afterwards with that dazed expression that says, "What just happened to me?" Now, here's where it gets deeper. The third type of orgasm, and this one is one of the most powerful, is the emotional orgasm. Most people don't even know this exists, but it's real. This is the orgasm where his body releases, but so does his heart. It's when intimacy is so strong, so emotionally charged, that the orgasm feels like a surrender. He doesn't just feel physical pleasure, he feels love, connection, vulnerability. He feels safe enough to let go completely. Think about that. Most men live their lives with walls up. They're told not to cry, not to show weakness, not to be vulnerable. So even during sex, most men are guarded. But when he experiences an emotional orgasm with you, those walls collapse. He feels something he hasn't felt since childhood, true safety. And that's rare. That's why it's unforgettable. How do you create this? You slow down intimacy, you look him in the eyes, you hold his face as he finishes, you whisper something personal, something meaningful in the exact moment he's most vulnerable. You sync your breathing with his, you let him know that he is seen, wanted, accepted. And in that moment, his orgasm is not just release, it's healing, it's intimacy on the deepest level. It's the kind of experience that makes him addicted to you as a person, not just sex with you. And here's the thing, most women never tap into this. They're too busy focusing on technique. They think it's about speed, pressure, tricks. But the truth is, the most powerful orgasms are not about technique. They're about presence. They're about emotional connection. And if you can combine the physical skill with the emotional depth, you unlock something life-changing. Now, before I get into the final two types of orgasms, I want you to pause and reflect, because what I've just shared, the basic release, the full body, the emotional orgasm already shows you that male pleasure is far more complex than society makes it out to be. Men may not talk about it, they may not even know how to describe it, but they crave this variety. They crave experiences that take them beyond the ordinary. And the woman who can deliver that is unforgettable. She's not just another memory, she's the memory. So don't underestimate this. Don't roll your eyes and think, oh, men are easy. They're not. They're starving for depth. They're starving for experiences that surprise them, undo them, and stay with them. And you can be the one to give it to him. Now let's talk about the fourth type of orgasm, one that almost no one talks about, but men secretly crave more than they can admit. This is what I call the mental orgasm. And no, I'm not just talking about fantasy, though that plays a role. A mental orgasm is when his mind is so deeply engaged, so completely teased, that the pleasure starts long before there's even any physical touch. It's when anticipation is stretched to its absolute limit. It's when you seduce his imagination before you ever touch his skin. Think about it this way. Most women assume men are purely physical, but that's a shallow view. Men are visual, yes, but they're also deeply psychological. When you play with his mind, when you make him imagine what's coming, when you feed his fantasies and keep him guessing, you're not just stimulating his body, you're stimulating his entire nervous system. His brain becomes the playground. And when you finally give him release, it's layered with everything you built in his head leading up to that moment. This kind of orgasm isn't about rushing. It's about mystery. It's about subtle teasers, whispers, text messages, looks across the room, letting him wonder what's coming next. It's about saying things that make his pulse race. It's about knowing his fantasies and feeding just enough of them to keep him on edge, craving more. And when you finally touch him, when you finally let him release, it feels amplified 100 times over because his mind has already taken him halfway there. He doesn't just feel it in his body, he feels it in his psyche. That's the mental orgasm. And once he's had it, he'll beg you for it again, because it makes him feel like he's losing control not just of his body, but of his mind. Now let's move to the fifth and final type of orgasm, the spiritual orgasm. This one goes beyond sex, beyond lust, beyond anything purely physical or psychological. This is when sex becomes transcendent. This is when his orgasm feels like it connects him to something larger than himself. It feels sacred, it feels eternal. And before you dismiss that as too abstract, let me explain what I mean. A spiritual orgasm is when the experience isn't just about pleasure, but about unity. It's when two bodies don't feel separate anymore. It's when the walls between you dissolve and he feels completely merged with you. It's when time disappears. There's no clock, no outside world, no stress, no ego. There's just the two of you breathing, moving, surrendering. And it feels like the universe itself is pulsing through the connection. This is rare, but it's real. And men who have felt it even once never forget it. What makes this possible? It's not about technique. It's not about speed or position. It's about intention. It's about being fully present. It's about slowing down enough to feel every touch, every breath, every pulse of connection. It's about creating a safe, sacred space where he can surrender without fear of judgment. It's about eye contact that doesn't break, touch that doesn't rush, words that come from the heart instead of performance. And when that happens, his orgasm isn't just release. It feels like transcendence. It feels like he's touched something holy, something untouchable. And in that moment, he doesn't just see you as a lover, he sees you as the person who opened a doorway to a kind of intimacy he didn't even know existed. Now pause and think about this. 5 different kinds of orgasms. Basic release, the full body, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. Each one builds on the last. Each one taps into a different part of him. His body, his emotions, his mind, his soul. And when you understand them, when you learn to guide him through them, You stop being someone he just has sex with. You become someone who changes the way he experiences pleasure itself. That's not just intimacy, that's power. And here's the secret. Men won't tell you this. They won't say, I want more than just release. I want to feel something deeper. Because for most men, they've never even imagined it was possible. Society reduces them to one-dimensional creatures, quick to arouse, quick to finish, simple to satisfy. But that's not who they are. That's not the truth. The truth is they are starving for depth, starving for variety, starving for someone who doesn't just see them as easy to please, but as layered, complex, and capable of experiencing passion in ways they've never tapped into. And if you're the woman who shows him that you stand apart, you're not just another part. You're not just another hookup. You're the one who expanded his universe. You're the one who showed him something he didn't even know he wanted. You're the one who gave him not just pleasure, but transformation. That's what makes men stay. That's what makes men obsessed. That's what makes men fall in love beyond reason. So here's what I want you to understand. Every time you're with him, you have a choice. You can give him the ordinary, the predictable, the expected, or you can give him the extraordinary, the unforgettable, the kind of intimacy that keeps him awake at night thinking, I've never felt anything like that before. And the extraordinary doesn't come from being perfect. It doesn't come from memorizing tricks or acting out someone else's script. It comes from presence. It comes from curiosity. It comes from daring to explore him, daring to ask questions, daring to go deeper than anyone else ever has. Men may never say it, but what they truly want is to feel known. Not just touched, but understood. Not just aroused, but awakened. And the orgasms I've just described aren't about mechanics. They're about knowing him so deeply that you can guide him into places he's never been. And when you do that, you don't just give him pleasure, you give him meaning. And that right there is why he'll never forget you. So let's bring this all together, because what I've just shared with you isn't just about sex. It's not just about orgasms or the mechanics of pleasure or giving a man something to brag about. It's about something far more profound. It's about unlocking a man at every level, his body, his heart, his mind, his soul, and making him feel seen, understood, and connected in a way that almost no one ever offers him. And that is what men secretly wish women knew. Let's revisit these 5 kinds of orgasms for a moment. The first one, the basic release, is about the body. It's about satisfying a fundamental physical need, a reset button. It's not special on its own, but it is still important because it reminds you that even the simplest form of release can mean something when given with care, when received with intention. It shows that not every encounter has to be grand to be meaningful. Sometimes simplicity is powerful. Then comes the full body orgasm, which takes things to another level. This is when he's not just feeling it in his groin, but in his chest, his spine, his fingertips, his whole being. This shows him that pleasure doesn't have to be localized. It can ripple through him, consuming him, reminding him that sex isn't just friction, it's fire. You become the person who teaches him that his body has more capacity for pleasure than he ever knew. The third, the emotional orgasm, is where true intimacy begins. Because here's the truth, men are not often allowed to feel deeply during sex. They're conditioned to focus on performance, stamina, mechanics. But when you make space for him to feel safe, for him to connect, for him to let go emotionally in your presence, the orgasm he has is no longer just release. It's healing, it's bonding, it's vulnerability wrapped in ecstasy. And this is what makes him feel more than just satisfied. It makes him feel chosen. The fourth, the mental orgasm, is what makes seduction an art form. This is when you learn that his biggest erogenous zone is his mind. When you tease him with fantasy, when you play with words, when you build anticipation so long he can barely stand it, you make him realize that sex starts hours before you even touch. It starts with curiosity, with imagination, with the thrill of what's to come. And when he finally gets release, it's not just about the sensation, it's about the entire journey you just took him on. And then there's the fifth, the spiritual orgasm, the rarest, the most powerful, the one that changes everything. This is when sex becomes sacred. When the orgasm is no longer just about bodies or even emotions, but about transcendence. When he feels like he's touched something beyond himself. When he feels that in this moment with you, there is no separation. You are not two people, you are one. And that to a man is unforgettable. That is not just sex, that is life-changing intimacy. Now, imagine for a moment being the woman who can guide him through all of these. Imagine being the one who doesn't just offer him pleasure, but offers him transformation. Do you know what happens when you become that woman? You stop worrying about competition. You stop worrying about whether he'll be distracted by someone else or if he'll ever forget you. Because once a man has tasted this depth, once he has experienced what you have to give, everything else feels shallow by comparison. You become the benchmark. You become the standard. You become the one he measures every other experience against. And here's the kicker. You don't need to be flawless to give this. You don't need to look like a model. You don't need to perform like a star. You don't need to be anyone other than you. What makes this powerful isn't perfection. It's presence. It's being there with him fully. It's being curious. It's daring to slow down. It's being willing to explore, to connect, to be vulnerable yourself. It's about knowing that true intimacy is never about how you look. It's about how you make him feel. So the question is, what kind of woman do you want to be? Do you want to be the woman who gives him the standard expected, routine kind of experience? Or do you want to be the woman who blows his mind, who shakes his soul, who makes him feel things he never even knew were possible? Because the choice is yours. And if you choose the latter, you will never have to chase love, because love will chase you. You'll never have to beg for loyalty, because loyalty will be the natural result of the bond you've created. You'll never have to wonder if you're enough, because you will have shown him a depth no one else can touch. Now, let me give you a call to action. If this resonated with you, if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, whoa, I've never thought about male pleasure in this way before, then I want you to take what you've learned today and make it real. Don't just file it away as interesting information. Use it. The next time you're with him, pay attention. Notice which kind of orgasm you're creating. Notice when he's just releasing versus when he's opening up emotionally. Notice when he's surrendering mentally or when he's transcending spiritually. Start experimenting, start exploring, start guiding him deeper, because the more you explore with him, the more you'll discover about yourself too. And if you found this powerful, I want you to do one simple thing: subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this is just the beginning. What I share here is not just about sex, it's about relationships. It's about understanding the psychology of intimacy, the art of attraction, the science of love. And every time you come back here, you're going to leave with tools that make you stronger, more confident, more irresistible. If you want to be the kind of woman who doesn't just attract men, but keeps them captivated, then this is where you need to be. So subscribe, leave a comment below sharing which of the 5 types resonated with you the most, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because intimacy isn't just for you and him, it's a conversation we all need to have more openly, more honestly, more bravely. And the more we share it, the more we break down the taboos, the more we normalize deep, meaningful connection, the better our love lives will be. Remember this, men may not say it out loud, but they are desperate for depth. They are desperate for someone who sees beyond their surface. And when you are that person, when you give them not just release, but revelation, not just pleasure, but presence, you become unforgettable. You become irreplaceable. You become the one who changed the way he experiences love forever. So don't wait. Step into this role, own it, explore it, and watch how every relationship in your life transforms. Because when you know the secret language of male pleasure, when you understand these 5 kinds of orgasms and how to guide him through them, you don't just give him ecstasy, you give him a piece of eternity.